And I truly was depressed on the inside. And I started taking some depression medication, which was messing with my neurochemistry. And that's when I was outside gardening one day, and my neighbor comes limping by. And I realized I haven't seen this dude in probably 6 months. We usually give each other the hey, the LA neighbor nod, hey, hey. And I realized I haven't seen him for about 6 months. And so I say, Daniel, what happened to you? You're limping. And he said, yeah, I fell and shattered my ankle. It's not healing well. And I said, before I realized it, this comes out of my mouth, I'm like, well, do you want to come over for some energy healing? And then I was like, what did I just say? I am not an energy healer. I'm an actress. I hope he says no. And he goes, sure, let me go put my dog away. And I'm like, what am I going to do? I don't know what to do. And then I get the brilliant idea. I'm like, well, just act like an energy healer. Okay, I guess I'm just going to wing it. Right. And I bring him over and I sit him down on my porch and I prop his leg up outside on a garden chair. And I've got this tuning fork. Oh, I thought I had it on my desk. I don't have it here right now. I had this tuning fork and I start waving the tuning fork around his foot. He's got these big headphones on. He's listening to some YouTube meditation solfeggio scale that I put on. And I'm waving the tuning fork around his foot. And I'm looking around like, if my husband comes home right now, I'm going to have some explaining to do. And then all of a sudden, my friend who's there in the chair, he's got his eyes closed. His father, who had passed, okay, so his father showing up as a ghost, comes into my awareness. And I've seen enough episodes of Long Island Medium. I know I'm supposed to talk to this guy. So I start up a conversation with him just in my imagination. And so I ask him, what's your name? And wasn't very clear what came back. What came back into my mind was I saw like big bubble letters, Bob, 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 flashing like a neon sign, Bob, but then crossed out, but not Bob, but a J name, short like Bob. And I'm like, okay, Bob, not Bob. And then very valiantly, he steps forward and he's like, I saved my son. Well, you did a shitty job, Bob, not Bob, because his ankle is shattered and it's not healing well, but okay, if you say so. And then I get one more image in my mind, this image of like two hands coming together. And it seemed like only a couple of minutes had passed, but next thing I know, the meditation's over. Like 30 minutes have gone by. He's taking the headphones off. I'm coming back into my body. I'm like, oh, do you feel better? And he's like, yeah, I think I do. And I said, great, bye. And I shoot him on home. And I go inside and I'm washing my hands, and Bob, not Bob, follows me inside and is saying, please, please reach out to my son. Let him know I was there. So I'm like, fine. So I text my friend and I'm like, all right, you know, I'm an actress. I'm not a medium. However, I do feel like your dad came through in that session and has some messages for you. So if you're open to hearing them, I'll be open to share them. And he goes, well, sure. And so he came back over. I make us some coffee and we sit down outside, and I said, all right, well, what was your dad's name? And he said, my dad's name was Alan. And I'm like, well, fuck, I got that wrong. Because I was getting Bob, 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 not Bob, but short name, J like Bob. And he stopped and he said, Emily, my dad's name was Alan J, J-A-Y. He went by his middle name. And that took me back a little bit too. And then I shared with him the next piece, which was, well, your dad took credit for saving you. And I told him he did a terrible job, but he insisted. And Daniel said, well, this is what had happened. I'd been suffering from vertigo for a couple months. I was feeling better. I wanted to go out shopping for my girlfriend. So I was in a jewelry store in Malibu. It happened to be on the second story of a strip mall. And I started feeling the vertigo come back on. And I didn't want to pass out in the jewelry store. So I stepped outside. And I did pass out, and where the paramedics found me, they said 2 more inches and I would have fallen down 2 flights of concrete stairs. I know. At that point, I mean, I got the chills too. And then I shared with him that last image of 2 hands coming together. And he started to cry. And he shared with me, he said, Emily, my dad and I were estranged for 30 years. We did reconcile before he died, and I was holding his hand when he died. And then at that point, I started crying too. And because I experienced the healing, it was not the healing that I anticipated, but I experienced it firsthand. And my life changed in that moment. My timeline shifted. I knew that I had turned these skills on, and that if I could do it, anybody could do it. And I also knew that there was no story in Hollywood that I could be a part of that was as inspiring as the story of human potential. And I wanted to I'm like, well, fuck, I'm obviously pretty good at this. I don't need to get a sign on my door, something, so I can help people. And so after he left, I ran back inside to get my modeling acting portfolio, and I dug out a Conscious Life magazine that I picked up on my last audition. And I'm flipping through that thing, and I'm like, Reiki, no, yoga, Akashic records, that's it. Because the records hold all information, and I was interested in everything. Okay. And I knew that I was going to be able to access any intelligence through this space. So I started learning. And as I started learning how to do this, my soul, it was like my soul was remembering truth that I've always known. And I also could see how I sort of have always been using this intuitively, but not really recognizing or using it at a high level of mastery. And once I started learning to read my own records, that's when I was able to start clearing these patterns, right? My own patterns of trauma, hurt, self-sabotage, self-protection. And I was able to, and I'm still doing that work. So long as we're here on the planet, let me not kid you, we're still going to be doing this work, right? But there's a point when we clear enough of our own karma and we activate what's known as 11 and 12 strands of DNA. These are the higher strands of our Christed consciousness, which our potential is to activate all 12 strands in this lifetime. They don't necessarily activate in order, but y'all, I guarantee every single one of you who are here have your 11 and 12 strands are activated, because that's our service, our gift back to humanity. And I know that's why you all are here, which is why I'm so excited to be here, and to my intention and desire is to serve you at a really high level with this intelligence today. So once I learned how to read the Akashic records, that some of that old Bible knowledge, which, by the way, Yeshua, Jesus, powerful avatar here on this planet. I remembered something that I learned growing up from the Bible. Jesus said, give a man a fish, feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish, feed him for a lifetime. And so that became very clear to me, which would be my, really specific area of impact, which would be to teach people. And it's not really a teaching, it's a remembering. It's a remembering that you're wired to do this. And so after I decided that that's what I was going to do, I created an online course, and I started my past life from my acting world came about, where I started creating videos and desired to be on stages to speak and to share this across the planet. And it's taken me all across the world, to Gaia TV, on stage at Harvard University. I got a big interview on Coast to Coast Radio with George Norrie. That was a big one. Also happened in January. January of this year was a big month for me. Not only did I meet the Outliers, but I scored a big interview with George Norrie, which I'm going back. Oh my gosh, y'all, I'm going back this weekend. You guys are so timed in with that. And just finished completing the principal shooting for season 1 of a documentary about the work that I do on Mount Shasta. So definitely me encountering you guys has bumped me into a timeline of higher vibrational frequency, where I get to be in my highest potential and serve the planet. So the least I can do is show up here to Power Hour and serve y'all with this energy too. So I'm just going to pause, take a deep breath there. I do want to open up the floor for you guys to ask some questions, but there are some things that you can know about the Akashic records that will help you in the formulation of questions. Cool. Okay. All right. So here's what y'all need to know. Oh, also, don't let us get off the call today without, there's a group message coming in for you guys, a channeled message from the Akashic records that I want to make sure to bring through for you all today. So here's what you need to know about the Akashic records. First of all, just again, this is the realm of consciousness that holds all intelligence, all data, past, present, all possible futures, and it's recorded from a neutral perspective. Neutral means unconditional love and zero judgment. Okay, this is also known as God mind. It's also known as superconscious intelligence. Every single person has an Akashic record. Person, places, things have Akashic records. The outliers, this group, this entity has an Akashic records. Your business has an Akashic record. Your relationships, your animals have Akashic records. We do need permission to go in and access the Akashic records. Okay, you can't just dive into somebody's Akashic records and start reading all their personal information. Okay. Let's see, what else do you need to know about the records? All right, so to get into the Akashic records, I'm going to say at some point in time, whether you've had a reading or a formal encounter with your Akashic records or not, you guys have stumbled into the records in aha moments, in dream time, on walks in nature. Okay, here's how you officially get into the Akashic records. It's a vibrational frequency match. So we've got to become a vibrational match ourselves to the frequency of unconditional love and zero judgment. All right. When I learned how to read the Akashic records, there was a prayer that we spoke. When I decided that I was going to teach the records, my guides gave me a way that I take people in that's unique to me and my lineage. But there are lots of different ways to get in. Okay. That's really the trick, or the key, is that we've got to move ourselves into a space of non-judgment. This is really important. Antonio says, what frequency is that? I mean, I guess if I had to put a hertz on it, I'd go with the 524, the miracle frequency. It's not so specific to the hertz though. We want to figure out, like, how do we surrender? Like, what does that mean to the actual human? Right. So it's about, here's what it's about. It's about being willing to take responsibility for everything that we've created. So when we go into the records will only give us the information that we're ready to receive. How do the records know what we're ready to receive? Well, we have to ask questions. Okay, the records work by what's known as invitation only. Doesn't mean that only certain ones of us are invited to the records. It means we've got to ask and invite forward the knowledge that we're seeking. And in order to get the most pure stream of that knowledge, we've got to be willing to see where we've created or miscreated it, and not judge ourselves for it. Right? Because as soon as you get to, doggone it, Emily, why did you do that again? I've lowered my vibrational frequency, and the answer that comes back to me is going to match that vibrational frequency, because you're a dumbass, Emily. See, it's that part of my voice, my inner voice, that I'm channeling. If I'm in that vibrational frequency of self-judgment. Does that make sense? So it's really, I mean, I talk about it super woo-woo, and we got to get into this frequency of the God mind, unconditional. No, we just have to be, willing to not judge ourselves and take an honest look and an evaluation at, like, what are my patterns here? And when we ask with that sincerity, the answer reveals itself to you. How many of you are already starting to see where you've used the Akashic records before in your life, seeking guidance and wisdom, and it appears to you? Yeah. Cool. Okay. So you got to take responsibility. You got to ask questions. I think we're about good to go. You guys have any questions about how this works? You can ask business questions. You can ask personal questions.
Maybe you can just give an example so people understand what kinds of questions they should be asking. Because I think for some people, this is super new, and they probably are thinking, like, well, should I ask about, my health? Should I ask about my business thing? Like, maybe be a little specific with some examples.
Okay. So I was planning on having some of those pulled up and ready for y'all, but that was going to happen after I did my hair, which you can see how far I got on that one. All right. So these are the kind of questions that you can ask. Yeah, Lindsay's right. You can ask questions about your health. So any health challenge that you're experiencing, whether it's physical, mental, emotional, you can ask about the root cause of that, right? Or you can ask, what is this here to teach me? What is any circumstance that is a challenge for us? That's a great back pocket question, is what is this here to teach me? So here's a really unique thing about Earth School, this planet. Okay. Earth School is known as a living library. That means access to the Akash, or this intelligence, is available through every cell of consciousness on this planet. It's a holographic projection. I know that's super Star Trek and woo-woo. Like, what does that mean? What that means is our soul comes here to learn, and every single lesson, there is intelligence available if we can pull back from our perspective, which our perspective will usually take on the archetype of the victim, right? Being wounded in some way. And that's okay. We all work through our victim mentality, our woundedness. Guess what happens after you work through that? Then you have to take responsibility for where you've been the oppressor to fully clear the karma. But things that show up in our lives that create dis-ease or disharmony, we've created that for our soul to learn. And that's why our soul is here, is to evolve and learn. And so asking that back pocket question, like, what is for me to learn in this situation? That one can apply to anything, whether your money, your finances are stuck, whether your relationships aren't moving smoothly, whether you feel confused about crossroads or direction to move in life. Okay, that's another really cool way to use the Akashic Records, is for directional guidance, which I will tell you though, everybody, this is true for everybody. The chief navigational energy for all of us right now to find your highest potential is follow your joy. You got to follow your joy. But let's say you have two different possibilities of projects or places to live, or people to date. I don't know what y'all have decisions to make about in your life, but like two different crossroads, right? You can use the Akashic Records to shift your consciousness into each one of those timelines, try them on, because your soul's going to learn differently in each one, and see which one feels more joyful to you. Okay. Soul mission, soul purpose are also things that a lot of people who come to me, they're here to leave. They know that they're here to leave legacy on the planet. A lot of people feel like they're here for more, and they don't really know what that is. Okay. That's an alignment to understanding soul purpose and soul mission here on the planet. Cool. So I give you guys some direction on where to go for questions. Cool. Do you want me to go get the practice questions, or you all ready to let it rip?
I think Anthony raised his hand.
So did he? I can't see where hands
ready
are.
To go.
Yeah, I actually had a question that's a question that's I guess I'm trying to understand. I've been following Joe Dispenza for the past, I'd say, month, and I've been practicing his techniques. And he talks about how we should be going into quantum and looking at ourselves as our future selves. And so looking at it from a place of where is it that we want to be at that, I guess, time, and create that emotion. So I guess I'm kind of confused as to why would we be asking the questions if we have the power to create our own destiny?
Well, if we could have created the destiny that we wanted, we would have done it by now. Right? So our soul's here to learn and figure out how do we create that more specifically? See, our soul incarnates here under this planet to experience ourselves as the God, goddess, God in human form. That's literally what the word human means. Okay. And so we're creating our destiny. I mean, we're creating it right now in this moment. We've created that, and we are creating that. The reason that we need to ask the questions is because when we can create consciously, which we all can, most people on this planet are creating unconsciously. Okay. But when we can create consciously, and again, we're coming into this experience to understand ourselves as God, goddess, that's conscious creator, right? This idea of getting clear about what that looks like, that's the future. That's the aspect of tuning into the future self, right? Because we also can experience infinite possibility here. So getting clear about what we want to experience, that's like identifying the future timeline. that we want to be on, that carries a specific vibrational frequency.
Right.
All right. So when we tap in and we start to get that vibrational frequency, that's data. That's data. Okay. That's informing our being of how to stay in alignment with this timeline. Because right now, we're not necessarily on that timeline.
Got it.
Right. So how we get on that timeline is by discovering what we need to subtract. Like healing is just unlearning patterns. It's just subtracting shit from our lives that we don't need. Okay. Being on the timeline of highest potential is just about eliminating the things, because we're whole, perfect, complete, aligned with source naturally. We're the ones with our free will that take on the distortion, which shifts our vibrational frequency. So asking the questions reveals the answer that keeps us in vibrational harmony with that timeline.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, it did. It did.
Or what'd you get from that?
What I got from that is that sometimes, even though we can create our own destiny, sometimes we do need to ask the questions on how to actually get there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's part of the process and the journey. The journey has so much revelation, so much teaching for us, right? And I just find that's, for me, I'm a student of life, everything in life. I want to learn from everything. So it's about learning to ask the right questions so that my brain can be in relationship with the lesson. Because here's the deal. Our brain's asking questions on default anyway, right? And if we're not training our brain to ask the enlightened questions, what I notice is that if I get stressed or sad or overwhelmed or whatever it is, I start asking myself questions like I said, I'm hard on myself. Why are you doing this again, Emily? So we're engaging with this question asking, whether we're aware of it or not. I'm just inviting everyone to bring it into awareness and use your technology at the highest degree, because your brain is designed to answer questions for you, to find the evidence of whatever question you ask. So if you let your brain work, if we let our brains work on default, here's how our brains are working. The average human has between 12 and 60,000 thoughts per day. On average, 90% of them are negative. 80% are repetitive, same thoughts you had yesterday. 95 to 99% are subconscious, so we don't even realize we're thinking them. That's why meditation, even the smallest amounts in breath work, are fantastic, because it's going to slow you down enough that you have more awareness of your thoughts. Okay, when I first heard these statistics to 12 to 60,000, I don't know about some of y'all overachievers like me in here, but I was like, damn, I hope I'm on the high end of that, which is, it's my ego wanting to be in the A+ range. And then when I heard the rest of the statistics, I'm like, oh, no. I don't want to have 12,000 thoughts that are repetitive negative. That's what the monks, the powerhouse thinkers on this planet, are having very specific dialed thoughts. They're not overthinking and spinning. Their minds are under their own authority, self-mastery, okay, which is really important if you're going to delve into using an accelerated tool like the Akashic Records. You're going to change quickly, and rapid change can bring about disharmony. Slow change is easy. Rapid change will bring about turmoil. So you got to have skills. You got to know what's going on here on the planet. Okay, I feel like I'm done monologuing there. Who else has a question? Where do I see the hands up?
I have a question, and I don't have my hand up,
Okay.
so we didn't miss anything. So I think I've been struggling with. I'm according to my numbers, I'm post-menopausal, but whatever. I've been that way for years, so it's never going to end apparently. And I haven't been sleeping well. I keep waking up at 2, 3 in the morning, and my brain starts monkey brain. How much of what, and the stuff that's coming in my head is like stuff that I can't fix, things that I did years ago that are stupid and I need to just move on. How much of this is menopausal, and how much of this is just my addled brain that needs a good kick in the whatever.
It's all of it, Miss Lindsay. Okay. So here are a couple things. First of all, like our society has a collective experience of menopause as being something that's really negative.
Mm-hmm.
And oh my gosh, we're stepping into like the wise dude, like the menopause dudes and ladies, menopausal women on this planet. We are the smartest, most powerful beings on the whole planet. I'm sorry to tell you that, but it's true. Okay. The energy of the wise grandmother, the crone, is very, very powerful. And I just felt the chills move through my body. Part of this is the bigger dysfunction that we're all here to help balance on the planet right now, which is the energies of masculine and feminine. Okay. So this is part of the distortion of the divine feminine energy and the divine feminine power. And since the fall of the matriarchal energy in ancient Egypt, when we lost the intelligence, we didn't lose it. It was hidden. But the intelligence of the goddess, the intuition, the magic that we all have inside of us, we all have masculine, feminine energy. Okay. The power of this was hidden and suppressed from the planet. And so we see that now on all the causal planes, which means you're going to see it within yourself. You're going to see it within work dynamics, school dynamics, family dynamics, mental, emotional, personal. That's what all the causal planes means. That also is connected to the nature of how this plane works. Remember how I said it's a holographic planet? The Earth school is a holographic planet, so we're connected into everything. Okay. Blew my circuits. I'm tuning back in. Yeah. So that's one illumination, Lindsay, is to see where this is a distortion in our collective reality about because you're in the powerhouse zone. Waking up in the middle of the night like that, while it can be uncomfortable, we get major downloads. The intelligence that comes in during that time is really powerful. So if y'all are waking up, whether it's stressful or whether sometimes I wake up, I've had dreams where I'm just download after download and I feel like everything's going to be fine. I have all the answers and it all makes sense. And then, by 6 a.m., the second, first cup of coffee, it's gone. Right. I'm like, how did I just feel so smart? And I had everything under control and now it's gone. But what's happening to you in the middle of the night's powerful, and it's data. So Lindsay, that's really powerful data of areas where face and feel. Yeah, we need to move on. We don't want to lament in it, but if we've stuffed it and it's like all your defenses are down when you're sleeping. And so this is revealing to you exactly where you want to go and work. Anybody like childhood trauma, things that happened to you in the past, my favorite way to heal those is by going back in your memory into those spaces and just imagining that you're holding white light on whatever the situation is. White light is a universal healer. It contains full spectrum data. So everything on this planet is energy. Sound is a particular frequency that stores and transfers knowledge back and forth. Light particles do the same thing. White light is full spectrum light. Anything that feels unhealed or you still have your feelings hurt, you butt chapped about it, you're holding, you haven't forgiven, whatever it is, whatever you feel like you're entitled. Sometimes we hold unforgiveness very entitled. Okay. The white light will bring in the information that you're missing, and the information that we're missing a lot of times just looks like compassion for what the other person was experiencing. We're like, oh, okay, I get why they were such an asshole to me. And then it changes the vibrational frequency that we're feeling in our body. It changes the frequency that we're emitting. And then it changes that timeline forward and backward through time, where we're not holding that vibrational frequency anymore. Okay. White light, even if you only understood 2% of what I said right there, but you got the white light, write that down because it'll work for you whether you understand how it works or not. White light also is great. Healing anything in the body and creative ideas too. Any creative idea that feels like, oh, I'm still missing that part of it. Bring in the white light and it will fill in the gaps of intelligence of the ones and zeros, basically. So to answer your question, flip the script, know that you're in your power zone right now, and thank yourself for zeroing right in on the wisdom on where you can go in and shift those things. Did that feel like I answered your question?
A little bit. I'm Yeah, I think I'll just be more thoughtful with the time if I'm awake versus like fighting the thoughts.
Mm-hmm. What'd you get from what I said? Other than that, give me one more takeaway.
Well, I like the reframe of the menopausal time and the power that gives you. So I think that's a really nice takeaway because there really aren't very many positive takeaways from menopause.
Lindsay, you could also take this and go deeper. So the circumstances that popped up in your mind that feel like you should have let them go a long time ago. What is here for what is still there for me to learn?
Okay. Cool.
Okay. Cool. All right. Who else has a question? Y'all are afraid to ask now because you're like, damn, she is a teacher. She's gonna make me repeat back to her what I heard.
You guys, this is like free time with a psychic, so jump in.
Seriously, like dial in. Come on. Anybody have any weird dreams that you want interpretation on? Anybody having like any challenges, any ideas for your future that you're feeling just want a little guidance on?
Well, we have 10 minutes left. Do you want to do the collective reading or download that you
for y'all?
mentioned before?
Yep, I'm gonna tune in and channel for y'all. Any more questions?
I was just gonna say, Emily, because we've had a one-on-one where we've chatted. But I was just on a call where we were chatting about how to market specifically to women and kind of got on a femininity talk and the difference between how women in America are marketed towards other places. And so some of the things that you said kind of resonated with that. And it just like, since it just came back up again, I thought that was interesting. And there's lots of ladies on this call, lots of ladies that work with other ladies, lots of men that work with ladies too. And it was just interesting to see ways that we've kind of owned some of our power and ways that we're still waiting for permission. And so I just wanted to mention that in case anybody else was feeling a little bit of that.
Beautiful. Yes. Thank you. I definitely am noticing places in my life where I'm giving myself permission. Right. And for me, self-trust is really connected to that. I mentioned that I'm shooting this docu-series now where y'all like, I'm full Matt Damoning and Ben Afflecking this, and I'm both of them. Like I'm the writer, producer, director. And I've got an awesome production team from Connect TV out of Los Angeles working with me. But I'm a visionary. I'm a coach. Like I'm a teacher. I get one-on-one and I get dirty with people. Yes, I run my company, but y'all see how linear time get me. There's a huge up level invited for me to run the show at this bigger level, and it requires an identity up level, and it requires me looking at what I need to subtract from my life now. Like, where am I not giving myself permission? And basically what it looks like is, I mean, I had a nasty breakup of my marriage and feel like I fucked up my kids. I'm a spiritual leader and this isn't what it's supposed to look like, right? And lots of imposter syndrome. And because it's never any one person's fault. I just won't go into the laundry list of the things that he did in the relationship, right? However, like I participated in that as well. And I feel the guilt of how my family tanked, right? So I have aspects of myself where I don't trust myself to lead the troops at that level. So I'm dealing with myself on a deeper level right now and giving myself permission and looking around. And basically what it looks like for me is I'm looking around and seeing all of the places that I'm doing a good job at it. I'm like, oh, no, wait, I can do it. I'm doing it there. Oh no, I'm doing it here. Okay, no, wait, I'm learning and I'm learning to, we have to coach ourselves lovingly through that process of identity shifts and giving ourselves permission. Cool. Okay.
Hey, Emily, this is Kim. Just want to add one quick thing. So I absolutely have loved everything I've been learning from you since we first connected. I'm going on to module 3 today. So excited to be in your group. And I just want to say that it's really helped me personally to have a deeper self-awareness, a deeper sense of experiencing self-love. And I just think you have a lot to offer. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Kim. Yes, it's beautiful. Fills my heart. Yeah, the self-love is really what engages our power, and it either engages us or the reason that we've disconnected.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And this is really a journey into self and realizing how lovable we actually are. I mean, it's so cool to begin to see ourselves through this different perspective and to see how cool we truly are. I do want to, I'll go in and channel real fast too. I want to make sure that I share, I'm going to use all the time in here to channel for you guys. And then in the Outliers group, I definitely want to give you guys a free gift so you can activate your intuition as well. So I'm going to give you a free gift where it's a 30-minute training that will help you activate your own psychic senses so that you can get the messages coming in 15 seconds a day. It's pretty badass, if I do say so myself. And then any of you who, want to talk and want to connect with me, I'll leave you the link to my schedule too. Okay, cool. All right, so I'm going to tap in. Oh, this is something else that I wanted to share with you guys too. In the space of the Akashic Records, we encounter masters, teachers, loved ones, and guides. Masters are like our archangels, ascended masters. Masters, teachers are light beings who are lesson specific. They come and go based on whatever it is that we're working on in our life. Our loved ones who have crossed, which is why I was able to access my friend's father in that space, and our spirit guides, our guides that are with us from beginning, first breath to last breath. Okay. All right, so I'm just going to tap in. All right, so first as I start to connect in, my clairsentience goes off. I just start feeling like effervescent energy going down my body. Clairsentience is clear inner feeling, and it's information moving and shifting in our being. Okay, and what the guides want you to know is that you're part of a really special group of change makers here on the planet right now. And we've been training for this on planet, off planet for eons. Really what the guides are saying right now, since the conflict, this galactic conflict originally started back in the star system of Lyra, when there was an infiltration of polarity, of dark and light, which creates the whole construct of learning that we're in right now. Okay. And during that point in time, the galactics came together and seeded a plan where they would bring DNA from all the star systems, the most potent, powerful star systems across the planet or across the galaxy. So Lyra, Orion, Sirius, Andromeda, Arcturus, the Pleiadians. And a masterpiece civilization was seeded at that point in time, which is the human, our 12-strand DNA. And we started this mission back then, agreeing to go through eons of evolution, of learning, of training, of growth that would truly activate our DNA and would allow us to be ready for this evolution of light that's happening on the planet right here, right now. We are so lucky to be here. We have all volunteered to be here because we know that we're ready. And the transformation that happens within each one of us and what we create and leave here on the planet, that is the medicine, the legacy that changes the planet. A lot of us look at the leaders as government officials. But the true leaders of consciousness, and again, it's why it's so important that we created this grid. There is sacred geometry. It is in the shape of a dodecahedron that surrounds the planet. It is the collective dreamscape. We're all dreaming in to this collective reality together. We are truly the vision keepers. We are connected into that grid. It's not the leaders that are creating the level of consciousness here on the planet. It's the storytellers and the entrepreneurs, two very specific genres of people. Okay. Storytellers, because we set the edge of where the imagination is, what's outside of the realm of possibility, what's inside, how we're desensitized. and entrepreneurs because we're creating services and products that either dumb society down or enlighten us. It's one of the two. And you guys in here who are part of this group, you have dreams, you have visions, you have very special legacy to share with the planet. You have, and that looks like you doing your own personal transformation in your work. So thank you for doing it at this high level. Sometimes it can be so easy in this dense landscape, planet Earth, it's a dense landscape. It can be easy to lose ourselves in the Maya, the illusion, the distortion, the stress. But I just want to bring through a transmission. I want to invite everybody, just breathe with your heart right now. Inhaling and exhaling. Okay, breathe with your heart and your third eye. It's going to engage higher vision for you. So you can remember the truth and the important part that you play here. Cool, I love you guys. Cool. The guides also want you to know and remember, this is a self-teaching mechanism. It's designed to teach you as you go. And just being here today, everybody's had an activation into this space. So start asking questions and noticing what flows back into your mind when you're at a state of real calm and peace. Okay, you're gonna feel a heck of a lot smarter. Cool. Thanks, guys. Thanks.
Thanks, Emily.
Thank you, Em.
Thank you.
Love you guys. You're so welcome.